My brother and I awakened our survival systems at the exact same time. One was a duplication system. The other was a decomposition system. My brother, desperate to show off to his blind date, eagerly snatched the decomposition system first. I was left with whatever was remaining. But who could have guessed that 5 days later, the temperature would plummet to minus 70 degrees? The entire city was buried in ice and snow. Relying on my duplication system, I kept him and his toxic, two-faced girlfriend alive through the apocalypse. We finally made it to the point where the rescue team was just about to arrive. But just to steal a spot on the boat, he shoved me right into the freezing river. Don't blame me, bro. I can't let Rian freeze out here. You're not going to make it anyway, so just do this one last thing for us. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day our systems awakened. My brother lunged like a madman to snatch the duplication system. I instantly knew, that little bastard had been reborn too. Bro, you've always let me have my way since we were kids. You won't fight me for this duplication system, right? Of course not, you're my one and only little brother. Since you like the duplication system so much, I'll just take the leftover decomposition system. Hearing this, Ji Bochong let out a massive sigh of relief, a hint of mockery flashing in his eyes. He couldn't wait to click the confirmation button. Duplication system bound successfully. Simply touch the target object to create a flawless, identical replica. Zero cooldown time. Listening to the system's voice prompt, Ji Bochong literally jumped up and down with excitement. The duplication system is mine. Ha 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 ha. I watched him dance around with absolute coldness. I didn't say a single word. In our past life, it was exactly in this living room, where we awakened our systems at the same time. Back then, because Ji Bochong wanted to show off for Lu Rian. He chose the decomposition system without a second thought. I was forced to bind the duplication system. But who could have imagined that just 5 days later, an unprecedented deep freeze would sweep across the globe? The temperature crashed to minus 70 degrees. In an instant, the entire city was turned into a massive, frozen graveyard. Everyone was trapped in their homes. Basic survival supplies became the ultimate crisis. Relying completely on my system, I somehow managed to keep him alive through the apocalypse. Along with that utterly useless Lu Rian, whose only skill was screaming. I starved myself, refused to wear anything warm, saving all the best supplies just for them. And what was my reward? We suffered for 3 whole months, and finally, a rescue team arrived. But there were only 2 spots left on the boat. To make sure Lu Rian got on board, Ji Bochong shoved me right into the frozen river without a second thought. The exact moment that bone-chilling water swallowed me whole. I swore that if I ever got a second chance, I would make them pay in blood. And now, God has actually given me that chance. Bro, what are you staring at? Are you regretting it? Not at all. As long as you're happy. I pulled my gaze away, and casually hit the button to bind the decomposition system. Decomposition system bound successfully, able to break down and restructure any inorganic or organic matter. Converts matter into specified high-energy fuel or fresh food ingredients. Conversion efficiency depends on material density. Ji Bochong suddenly leaned in close. Bro, let me borrow some cash, will you? I just asked Lu Rian out shopping, and I don't have enough cash on me. I raised an eyebrow. You literally have a duplication system. And you're still begging me for money? Ah, come on, I know the duplication system is amazing. But I haven't quite figured out how to use it yet. Besides, I'm taking Rian to buy some authentic designer bags. Once I figure out this system, I'll just clone 100 of them to sell. I'll pay you back with interest when the time comes. Just give me 50,000 for now. Without a single word, I pulled out my phone, and transferred the last 50,000 bucks in my account straight to him. The money went through. Ji Bochong looked at the bank notification, grinning from ear to ear. When I become the richest man in the world, I'll definitely let you be my driver. He snatched his car keys and bolted for the door. Right at the doorway, he suddenly stopped in his tracks. Oh right, bro, the forecast says it's gonna get pretty cold these next couple of days. Remember to stock up on some more junk? Your breakdown system is only good for recycling garbage anyway. Watching the front door slam shut, the calm expression on my face instantly vanished, replaced by a bone-chilling coldness. 5 days. There were only 5 days left until the extreme cold apocalypse. I had to make every single second count. I grabbed my phone and immediately dialed my real estate agent. Hey, Lee, that downtown apartment of mine. I need you to list it for sale right now. Yeah, full cash payment. Cash only. If we can transfer the title today, I'm willing to drop the price by 300,000. After hanging up, I immediately opened every payday loan app on my phone. As long as they gave me cash, I applied for every single one of them. In just half an hour, an extra 1 million hit my bank account. Staring at those numbers, I suppressed my racing heartbeat and called up Boss Zhang. Hello, Boss Zhang? I need to order a massive batch of military-grade insulation materials. Oh, and I also need 2 heavy-duty diesel generators, plus 50 barrels of diesel fuel. I'll text you the address in a bit. It absolutely must be delivered to my door today. Money is not an issue. Standing in the middle of my living room, I methodically dialed number after number. In my past life, I suffered enough from freezing to death. But in this life, I am going to build an absolute, climate-controlled safe house. At 3 p.m., the agent brought a buyer over. The guy was extremely straightforward. 2 million in full. We signed the contract and transferred the title right on the spot. With this cash in hand, I immediately rented a standalone villa out in the suburbs, complete with a basement. There was barely anyone living around here, and the basement walls were incredibly thick. It was practically a natural shelter. I hired over a dozen workers. To start retrofitting the basement overnight, we lined the walls with 3 layers of aerospace-grade insulation, and installed a state-of-the-art air circulation system. Just when I was swamped with work, my phone suddenly rang. It was Ji Bochong calling. Bro, where the hell did you go? Why are the locks at the apartment changed? He roared furiously on the other end of the line. I sold the house. Are you insane? You sold the house? Where are Lu Rian and I supposed to live? Don't you have that cloning system of yours? I held the blueprints, casually directing the workers to reinforce the security doors. My tone was completely nonchalant. Just find a 5-star hotel somewhere. And clone some gold bars to pay for the room, can't you? You don't know shit. I tried it today. Cloning stuff is completely exhausting. My head is spinning and I'm seeing stars right now. If you don't have the energy to duplicate gold bars, that's your problem. Ji Linchuan, are you even my real brother? Ru Yan is right here watching. I don't care if I made you look like a fool. Even if I were your own father, I wouldn't help you. The house is already sold. Figure it out yourself. I couldn't be bothered to listen to his crap, so I just hung up the phone. In my past life, he used this exact same moral blackmail and treated me like a slave for 3 whole years. But in this life, he's not getting a single damn thing from me. At 10 p.m., the renovations were finally finished. I paid off the workers and sent them on their way. The entire basement had been transformed into an impenetrable fortress. Next up was hoarding supplies. But I didn't go to the supermarket for food. In an apocalyptic ice age, even though food lasts longer, it eventually runs out. My decomposition system, however, is a true endless treasure trove. I drove my rented pickup truck straight to a junkyard on the outskirts of the city. As soon as I stepped out, I yelled, "Hey, boss. I'll take all your scrap plastic and old tires." The junkyard owner looked at me like I was a complete idiot. "Kid, are you messing with me? You want all this junk?" I slammed down a 20,000 yuan deposit. I want it all, loaded into the truck. For the next 3 days, I went on a crazy shopping spree at every junkyard in the city. Old clothes, busted furniture, even construction debris. If it could be hauled away, I dumped it straight into my villa's courtyard. The yard quickly turned into a literal mountain of trash. By the evening of the 4th day, light snow began to fall. The temperature had already plummeted from 10 degrees down to -5. The news anchor on TV was still trying to calm everyone down, calling it a rare spring cold snap. But I knew the truth. The gates of hell had already begun to open. Sitting on the leather sofa in my basement, I opened my WeChat moments. Ji Bochong had just posted an update 10 minutes ago. In the photo, he and Lu Ruyan were sitting in a high-end French restaurant. The table was covered in caviar and a bottle of Romani Conti. The caption read, "Stick with me and you'll eat like royalty. Thank you, God, for this gift." Right below it was a comment from Lu Ruyan, "You are the best, babe. Of you." I let out a cold laugh and hit the like button. However arrogant he is right now, is exactly how miserable he'll be tomorrow. Over the past 3 days, Ji Bochong must have been using his duplication system like crazy just to show off for Lu Ruyan. He thinks he's cracked the code to endless wealth, completely clueless that every single duplication is rapidly draining his body fat and body heat. When the extreme cold hits tomorrow, that hollowed out body of his won't even last 10 minutes. Bang, bang, bang. Someone started pounding violently on the villa's front door. I pulled up the security cameras, and the screen showed Ji Bo-chong and Lu Ruyan's sickening faces. Ji Bo-chong was freezing, his neck completely shrunk down into his collar, while Lu Ruyan was wrapped in an obnoxiously huge mink coat. Shivering and stomping their feet, Ji Linchuan, get your ass out here. I had to track down the real estate agent just to find out you were hiding here. Open the damn door. I pressed the button on the intercom. Hurry up and open the door. This damn weather is freezing me to death. Ji Bo-chong roared into the camera. How much money did you spend to rent this villa? Hurry up and clear out the master bedroom for me. Ruyan and I are staying here tonight. There is no room for you here. What the hell are you babbling about? You sold our family home and took the cash to hide out here and enjoy yourself. Have you no shame? Brother Linchuan, you're taking this way too far. He is your own flesh and blood. Even if you're jealous that he awakened an awesome system, you shouldn't be so heartless, right? I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Hey, jealous? What is there for me to be jealous of? Jealous that he's about to be frozen into a human popsicle? Ji Bo-chong kicked the heavy iron gate in a fit of rage. Stop being so damn bitter. I am a god with a replication system now, as long as I want to. I can duplicate all the supplies in this entire city. Oh. Then why don't you duplicate a fireplace to warm yourselves up? I picked up a steaming hot cup of coffee, and took a slow, unhurried sip. Ji Bo-chang's face instantly froze. Hearing the mockery through the intercom, the image of his older brother who worked like a dog in their past life suddenly overlapped with the figure who ruthlessly sold the house and bailed in this life. Building a safe house in advance, crazily hoarding supplies. He finally figured it out. I had been reincarnated, too. Bro, don't force me to lose my temper, Ji Bo-chong threatened me through gritted teeth. You better be a good boy and open this door right now. When I'm living the high life later, I might just spare you a bowl of soup, but if you keep being so stubborn, once the apocalypse hits, getting on your knees and begging won't save you. Scram, I replied with just a single word. Then, I completely cut off the intercom. Ji Linchuan, you piece of... Just you wait. Ji Bo-chang's impotent, furious curses echoed from outside the door. I watched the surveillance footage. 30. As he, in a fit of absolute rage. 30. Dragged Lu Ruyan away. There wasn't a single ripple of emotion in my eyes. With only the last 12 hours remaining until the extreme cold apocalypse arrived, I walked over to the corner of the basement. It was time to test out the deconstruction system. I reached out and pressed my hand against the plastic bottles. Deconstruct and reconstruct target. High purity smokeless coal. Command confirmed. Commencing now. Calculating deconstruction conversion rate, accompanied by a faint flicker of blue light. Those discarded plastic bottles instantly vanished without a trace, replaced by several chunks of pitch-black smokeless coal. I picked up a piece and weighed it in my hand. It was incredibly heavy. The texture was extremely dense. Absolutely perfect. Fully satisfied, I tossed the coal into the cast-iron fireplace I had prepared well in advance. I lit it, and the flames shot up instantly without a single wisp of black smoke. Yet it radiated an astonishing amount of heat. The needle on the basement's thermometer stopped firmly at 26 degrees. I then walked over to another pile of rotten wood. Deconstruct and reconstruct target. Fresh Australian Wagyu beef. The blue light flashed once again. A top-tier Wagyu steak slowly materialized right in my hands. I gulped hard. Remembering my past life, where I gnawed on frozen tree bark and rat meat for 3 whole years just to keep Ji Bo-chong and the others fed. Seeing this gorgeous piece of meat right now, my eyes practically turned green with hunger. I immediately set up the frying pan, cut a small slab of butter, and tossed it right in. Sizzle, the rich aroma of fat instantly filled the entire basement. After searing the steak perfectly, I couldn't wait to cut off a piece. Popping it into my mouth, the meat juices exploded on my taste buds. A wave of pure satisfaction rushed straight to my head. Now this is the life. I grabbed my phone while happily chewing on my steak. The family group chat was already blowing up. Uncle texted, "What the hell is wrong with the weather? The heating just cut off. Even the water pipes froze and burst. Third ant chimed in. Tell me about it. My windows just shattered from the cold, and the freezing wind is howling in. It's freezing us to death. My cousin added. The news says it's a once-in-a-century cold wave. They're telling everyone to stay indoors at all costs. Right at that moment, Ji Bochong sent a voice message to the group. Don't panic, everyone, listen up. I've awakened a superpower. I can duplicate absolutely anything. I've already copied 10 top-tier down jackets for Lu Rian, and a massive pile of heat packs. If anyone is short on supplies, just come straight to me. The group chat fell dead silent for a few seconds. Then it erupted with wild praise. Uncle said, I always knew you were a good kid, Bochong. All that love wasn't wasted. Bochong, sweetie, hurry up and copy a few electric heaters for your third ant. I'm freezing stiff over here. Bochong, you're a freaking legend. You are officially my one and only idol. Ji Bochong replied smugly, no problem at all. We're all family here. I'll definitely take care of you guys to the end. However, my brother, Ji Linchuan, kicked me out today. He's sitting on 2 million from selling the house. Hiding out in a suburban villa living the high life all by himself. He doesn't give a damn if we live or die. The moment he dropped that bomb, the vibe in the chat instantly flipped. How could Ji Linchuan do such a thing? That is so utterly selfish. I know, right? He always looked like such an honest kid. How can he be so cold-blooded when it really matters? Kicking his own flesh and blood brother out into the cold? He's practically a monster. Staring at the screen full of their insults, I let out a cold, mocking laugh. So the moral kidnapping begins already? I casually snapped a picture of my freshly seared Wagyu steak, and sent it to the group. 1, 2, 3, sent. Yeah, I'm definitely pretty cold-blooded. This Wagyu steak is way too rich and fatty. Eating it is making my heart race. The chat instantly dropped into dead silence. After a long while, Ji Bochong finally sent a message through gritted teeth. Ji Linchuan, don't get too cocky. The supplies you bought with that little bit of cash will run out eventually. Once your stash is completely gone, let's see how the hell you survive the apocalypse. I couldn't even be bothered to reply, so I just tossed my phone aside. There were only 2 short hours left until the absolute extreme cold hit. The wind outside was howling louder and louder. It sounded like countless wild beasts roaring in the dark. The heavy snow had turned into jagged chunks of hail, smashing against my bulletproof glass with violent, deafening cracks. The temperature had already plummeted to -30 degrees. And this was just the prelude. I walked over to my surveillance screens and switched to the exterior cameras. The streetlights had been completely blown out by the gale. The entire world was sinking into endless darkness and freezing cold. Occasionally, a few cars trying to flee would just skid out of control on the icy roads and violently smash into the guardrails. Then, quickly frozen solid like a block of iron. The apocalypse is really here. I stretched lazily and strolled into the bathroom. Took a nice, long, hot bath. After stepping out, I lay down on my big, soft bed, quietly watching the digital clock on the nightstand flip. Exactly at midnight, a blast of freezing air dropped from the sky. The entire villa gave a violent shudder, and the numbers on the thermometer began to plummet like crazy. -50 degrees, and finally came to a dead stop at -70 degrees. The extreme blizzard had officially arrived. I lay there, snug under my warm covers, listening to the howling blizzard outside that sounded like it was tearing the world apart, and peacefully closed my eyes. I slept like an absolute baby, right up until noon the next day. When the crazy buzzing of my phone finally woke me up, I rubbed my eyes, and grabbed it to look. The neighborhood group and the family chat were absolutely blowing up. Help, my door is frozen shut. I can't push it open at all. My water pipes burst. The whole living room is covered in ice. Somebody, please save me. Panic, despair, and begging dripped from every single word. I tapped into the family chat. It was nothing but a chorus of wailing. My cousin messaged, Chong, bro, say something. Don't scare me. But Ji Bochong stayed dead silent. I let out a cold sneer. In -70 degree extreme cold, with his completely burned out body. He probably doesn't even have the strength to type right now. I took my sweet time getting out of bed, walked over to the fireplace, and tossed in a few pieces of synthesized smokeless coal. Then, I pulled out a traditional copper hot pot, added the soup base. and poured in some purified water. Deconstruct and recombine target, fresh, premium lamb slices, beef tripe, pork aorta, and baby Napa cabbage. A flash of blue light illuminated the room, and the table was instantly covered in a massive feast of hot pot ingredients. I whipped up a bowl of sesame dipping sauce, and tossed the lamb slices into the bubbling, spicy red broth. Right at that moment, Ji-Bo Chong finally popped up from the dead in the group chat. "Uncle, I'm not gonna make it. This stupid system is cursed. I just tried to duplicate a code for Lu Ru Yan, and I felt every ounce of body heat get instantly sucked dry." The group chat instantly blew up. "What, your system is broken? Then was everything you promised before just a load of crap? You completely screwed us over. We're done for. We're all gonna freaking die in here." Ji-Bo Chong didn't reply again. He probably didn't even have the strength left to hold his phone. Munching on my juicy lamb, I casually opened up my private chat with him. I tapped the camera icon and pointed it right at my bubbling, spicy hot pot. Snap, I took a picture, then held down the voice message button. Speaking in a perfectly relaxed, smug tone, "Man, the weather outside is brutal, huh? Good thing I'm chilling in my safe house. Eating this lamb hot pot is making me break a sweat." Less than 10 seconds after I sent it, the typing indicator popped up at the top of the screen. It took a full minute before Ji-Bo Chong finally managed to send a voice memo. I hit play. "Bro, please save me. I was wrong, okay? I know I messed up. Just open the door. Please, let me and Ru Yan in. If you just let us inside. I'll be your slave. I'll do anything for you." Ru Yan even said, "If you just give her a bowl of hot soup, she's willing to sleep with you." "Bro, I'm begging you. Please, for the sake of us being brothers." Hearing his pathetic, shameless begging, I almost burst out laughing. "Blood brothers? Ha, when you shoved me into that freezing ice hole in our past life. You sure didn't care about us being brothers back then." I held down the voice record button, and sent back just one sentence. "Screw you, message sent." After that, I completely muted that bastard Ji-Bo Chong. Listening to another word from him would just poison my ears. Outside, the blizzard was still raging. Through the security monitors on the wall, I could see the entire city had turned into a frozen, lifeless wasteland. The once bustling streets were buried under several meters of thick snow. Skyscrapers were covered in razor-sharp icicles, looking just like giant, frozen tombstones. The very first day of the apocalypse had already wiped out at least 30% of the population. And this was only the beginning. Fully fed and perfectly hydrated, I lounged on the couch and pulled up the neighborhood group chat. The vibe in the chat had shifted from initial panic to pure, desperate raging and cursing. Why the hell aren't the rescue teams here yet? I pay so much in taxes. How can they just abandon us? Stop dreaming, idiots. Choppers can't even fly in this weather. Nobody is coming to save you. Who has food? I'll trade my Rolex for it. I'll give you the keys to my Porsche. Please, I'm begging you guys. Staring at these messages, I felt absolutely nothing. I was just as desperate as them in my past life, shivering in a freezing room, fantasizing about some hero dropping from the sky to save me. But reality taught me one hard lesson. In the apocalypse, sympathy is a deadly poison. Right at that moment, a new message popped up in the chat. It was from Boss Long up on the 18th floor. I remembered this guy. He was a local thug who used to throw his weight around the neighborhood, shaking people down for protection money with his goons. Shut the hell up, all of you. Whoever is hiding supplies in their units, hand them over right now. We're pooling everything together. If I find out any of you are holding out on me, don't blame my blade when things get messy. My boys and I just cleared out the 17th floor. Now we're heading to the 18th. If you don't want to get wasted, you better leave your doors wide open. Seeing his threat, I just raised an eyebrow. These guys were moving fast. Day one of the apocalypse, and they were already running organized raids. Not my problem, though. I locked my screen and strolled over to my workbench. Digging through the junk I'd hauled back from the scrapyard, I found a moldy, expired box of basic cold meds. Deconstruct and recombine. Target. High-grade antibiotics. A flash of blue light illuminated the room, and that moldy box of expired pills instantly transformed into a brand new bottle of pure amoxicillin. In a freezing apocalypse like this, aside from heat and food, Medicine was an absolute lifesaver. I organized the pills carefully, then whipped up a fresh batch of high-calorie chocolate and survival rations. For the next few days, I lived like an absolute king, feasting on different gourmet meals every single day. I even took some scrap plastic and synthesized the latest gaming console. Meanwhile, the world outside had completely devolved into a living hell. Day 5 of the deep freeze. I opened my phone again and saw hundreds of unread messages on WeChat. Most of them were from Ji Bochong. I tapped to open them, and they were all long rants of begging and cursing. Ji Linchuan, you'll get what's coming to you. You clearly have supplies. Why are you leaving us to rot? Rian has caught a terrible cold from the freeze. She's been running a fever. Please, just give her some fever meds. Bro, I really can't hold on much longer. I just tried to duplicate a piece of bread, and ended up coughing up blood. Will you only be happy when you watch us bite the dust? I scrolled down to the last message. It was a photo. In the picture, Ji Bochong was reduced to skin and bones, with sunken eyes and lips frozen purple. Lu Rian beside him looked even more horrific. Her face was pale as a ghost, and her eyes were completely vacant. Honestly, seeing them this miserable is pretty satisfying. I let out a cold sneer and replied, "Can't take it already? The real show has just begun." Ji Bochong replied in seconds, "What the hell do you want? Are you really going to push me over the edge?" "Me, pushing you? You were the one fighting tooth and nail to take the duplication system. And you were the one showing it off everywhere. What does this have to do with me now?" Ji Bochong was choked speechless. "Bro, don't get too cocky. I've already leaked the fact that you have a climate-controlled safe house and tons of supplies. To Brother Long, they are searching everywhere for you right now." Seeing this message, my eyes instantly turned icy. This Ji Bochong, truly a dog that can't stop eating trash. If he can't survive, he wants to drag me down to hell with him. I sneered and replied, "You think telling that so-called Brother Long will help them find me? The suburbs are huge. They can't even step out the door. How exactly are they going to look?" "Bro, you underestimate Brother Long too much. They have snowmobiles. Plus, I've already given them your rough location. That busted villa of yours is a massive target. They'll find it sooner or later. If you just be a good boy and send someone to pick up Rian and me right now, I'll tell Brother Long I remembered it wrong. How about that?" Listening to this self-righteous threat of his, I couldn't help but burst out laughing. "Alright then, I'll be waiting for them." I texted back, and tossed my phone straight to the side. Since he wants to play games, I'll play along and give him a good time. I walked over to the security console, and brought up the feeds from the dozen high-def night vision cameras surrounding the villa. Outside, it was still a vast expanse of pure white. 202-30, 202-720. Fierce winds were whipping up the snow. At 20208, visibility was less than 5 meters. Riding a snowmobile in this kind of weather is a pure suicide mission. Meanwhile, in a high-rise apartment downtown, Ji Bochong was huddled in the corner of a damp, freezing underground garage, shivering violently from the cold. Standing in front of him were a few burly, vicious-looking men. Leading them was none other than Brother Long. "Are you absolutely sure your brother has a massive stash of supplies, and is hiding out in a climate-controlled villa in the suburbs?" "It's the absolute truth, Brother Long. I swear it on my life. He sold his house. He's got over 2 million in cash on him. Right before the apocalypse hit, he bought a massive load of supplies and shipped them to the suburbs. If you just take your guys and bust him, all those supplies will be yours." Boss Long narrowed his eyes, rubbing the stubble on his chin. "The suburbs are huge, and the snow out there is incredibly deep right now. How the hell am I supposed to find him?" "I know the general area. It's right near the abandoned factory in the western suburbs." "Boss Long, just give me a single bite to eat, and I'll gladly lead the way for you." One of the thugs nearby scoffed and kicked Ji Bochong right in the shoulder. "Look at you, you half-dead freak. You'd turn into a damn popsicle before we even walked out the door." Ji Bochong was kicked so hard he rolled over, wincing in agony. But he didn't dare make a peep. He turned his head, looking at Lu Rian cowering in the corner, a flash of ruthless malice in his eyes. Boss Long, even though I can't go, I'm still useful. I've awakened a duplication system. As long as you give me food to provide a little energy, I can clone absolutely anything for you. Hearing the words duplication system, Boss Long's eyes instantly lit up. He squatted down, grabbing Ji Bochong tightly by the hair. You ain't messing with me, kid? You can really duplicate stuff? It's true, I swear to God. Ji Bochong was in so much pain that tears welled up, but he desperately forced out a flattering smile. If you just give me a full meal so I can get my strength back, I'll show you right now. Boss Long stared at him for a moment, then suddenly chuckled. Alright, I'll buy your story just this once. Go get him half a piece of moldy bread. Half a piece of moldy bread in this post-apocalyptic world was already an incredibly rare delicacy. Ji Bochong wolfed it down, shoving the bread into his mouth. He swallowed it without even chewing. Boss Long tossed him an empty cigarette pack. Now, clone me a fresh pack of premium smokes. Ji Bochong took the pack with trembling hands, closed his eyes, and activated the duplication system. A faint light flashed, and a brand new pack of cigarettes appeared in his hand. But at that exact moment, Ji Bochong violently coughed up a mouthful of blood, collapsing stiffly onto the ground. His entire body began to convulse violently. Boss Long picked up the pack from the floor, tore open the wrapper, and lit one up. Taking a deep drag, he smirked. Now this is an interesting trick. Tie him up. From now on, he's our personal production machine. As long as he's breathing, work him to the absolute bone. No, Boss Long, you can't do this to me. Hearing Boss Long's order, Ji Bochong was scared out of his mind. He started slamming his head against the floor. I helped you. I'm on your side. I gave you Ji Linchuan's address and everything. You promised you'd give me food. Boss Long slowly blew out a smoke ring and stomped his boot right onto Ji Bochong's face. I gave you food, didn't I? Does half a piece of bread not count as food? Since you ate my grub, you gotta work for me. Drag him away and lock him in the storage room. Two thugs stepped up and dragged Ji Bochong away like a lifeless dog. Ji Bochong's desperate screams echoed through the underground garage. Lu Rian, who had been cowering in the corner playing dead, saw this. She was shaking like a leaf. She knew Ji Bochong was completely done for. If she didn't want to freeze or starve to death, she had to find a new backer, right now. She gritted her teeth and forced a seductive smile. She scrambled over and threw herself at Boss Long's feet. Boss Long, Ji Bochong is a useless loser. He isn't even fit to shine your shoes. From now on, I'm all yours. Just spare me a bite to eat, and I'll do absolutely anything you want. Boss Long looked down at Lu Rian. Her face was haggard, but still pretty easy on the eyes. A sleazy look flashed in his eyes. He grabbed her by the chin, squeezing it roughly. Anything I want, huh? Lu Rian submissively closed her eyes. Ha 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 ha, good. I love a girl who knows what's good for her. He threw her over his shoulder and marched upstairs. Boys, I'm having some fun today. Tomorrow, we're heading to the western suburbs to pull off a massive heist. Early the next morning, I was chilling in my basement, eating freshly baked bread and watching an old movie. The surveillance system suddenly let out a piercing alarm. I immediately set down my coffee cup and hurried over to the control panel. On the screen, about 1 kilometer away in the snow, a few black dots appeared. I zoomed in. It was 3 snowmobiles, struggling to push through the thick snow, and the guy leading the pack was none other than Boss Long. I let out a cold laugh. He actually had the guts to show up. Driving from downtown to the western suburbs usually takes just half an hour. But in this weather, with temperatures at -70 degrees and snow 2 meters deep, riding those snowmobiles would take them at least 2 to 3 hours. By the time they reached my front gates, they'd probably be half paralyzed from the cold anyway. I wasn't in any rush to make a move. I just sat back and watched them crawl like snails, slowly inching closer. Half an hour later, Boss Long's crew finally reached the villa gates. They climbed off their rides, shivering uncontrollably. They could barely even hold onto their machetes. Boss Long, this is the place. This door looks pretty damn tough. How the hell are we supposed to get in? Boss Long gritted his teeth, a vicious glint flashing in his eyes. Tough, my ass. Grab the Molotovs and smash them. I want that door burned red hot. Then we bust it open with the sledgehammers. They've got endless food and heating in there. Boys, once we pull off this score, we'll never have to freeze or starve again. The thugs were hyped up, howling like wolves. They quickly lit the Molotovs in their hands, and hurled them hard at the villa's security door. The flames instantly exploded across the metal, but in the extreme cold of minus 70 degrees, that tiny bit of heat didn't do a damn thing. The flames barely lasted a few seconds before the howling wind and snow ruthlessly snuffed them out. Seeing this, Boss Long flew into an absolute rage. What the hell is this weather? Grab the sledgehammers and smash it open for me. As soon as the words left his mouth, two of his goons swung their massive iron sledgehammers. With a deafening crash, it slammed fiercely against the security door. The massive sledgehammer bounced right off, the violent recoil splitting open the palms of the two goons, leaving them bleeding. They fell flat on their asses in the snow. And as for that security door, it didn't even have a single scratch on it. I sat comfortably in front of my security monitors, watching them make fools of themselves outside like a bunch of clowns, and couldn't help but laugh out loud. I pressed the intercom button. Hey boys. Pounding on someone else's door bright and early in the morning. Isn't very polite, is it? Hearing my voice. Long and his gang jumped in fright, frantically looking around. Gee Linchuan, if you've got the balls, get the hell out here. Your little brother already spilled everything about you. If you know what's good for you, open this damn door and hand over your supplies. I might just let you live. Otherwise, once I smash this door wide open, I'll chop you into a bloody pulp. Oh, really? Well then, take your time smashing it. I'm actually feeling a bit sleepy, so I'm gonna go back to bed. Oh, and by the way, just a friendly reminder. It's currently minus 74 degrees outside. You guys have been standing out there for quite a while now. Can you still feel your bodies? My words hit them like a sharp icicle, piercing right through Long and his men. Only then did it suddenly hit them. They had been smashing the door so vigorously that they completely ignored their bodies rapidly losing heat. One of the goons subconsciously looked down and glanced at his own hand. With a soft, sickening crack, the fingers on his torn, battered hand, now frozen completely solid like a popsicle, just snapped cleanly off and dropped right into the snow. The goon let out a blood-curdling, inhuman shriek, clutching his stump and rolling around frantically in the snow. This horrific sight completely shattered the psychological defenses of the others. We can't break this damn door. We're gonna freeze to death out here. We gotta go, Long. If we don't leave now, we're dead. The two flunkies, scared absolutely shitless, scrambled and crawled their way toward the snowmobiles. Get the hell back here, you cowards. Long roared in absolute fury, waving his machete wildly in the air. But when it was a matter of life or death, who gave a damn if he was the boss? The two goons hopped onto the snowmobiles, desperately smashing the ignition buttons. But after being exposed to the extreme cold for so long, the snowmobile's engines had long since frozen into useless blocks of solid iron. They wouldn't start at all. We're done for, we're dead. Long stared at the completely dead snowmobiles, and then back at my indestructible villa door. A look of sheer, genuine terror finally crept into his eyes. He dropped heavily to his knees in the snow and started kowtowing frantically at the security camera. Brother Linchuan, Grandpa Linchuan, I was wrong. I was blind and foolish to mess with you. Please open the door. Just let us come inside and warm up for a bit. If you just let us in, we'll be your loyal dogs from now on. It was all Ji Bochong, that absolute bastard. He set us up. He was the one who told us to come and rob your supplies. Watching this so-called tough guy crying like a baby on the monitor, I just gave a cold laugh. My dogs? I don't keep backstabbing, rabid mutts around here. Didn't you guys bring knives with you? Why don't you stab each other a few times? It'll get your blood pumping, might even warm you right up. With that, I killed the intercom, went straight back to my couch, and went back to watching my movie. As for whether those scumbags outside lived or died, I couldn't care less. In the apocalypse, mercy is the greatest cruelty to oneself. About 2 hours passed. I looked at the monitor again. Out there in the snow lay several bodies scattered about, half buried under the heavy snowfall. Long was still frozen in a kneeling, begging pose. His entire body had turned into a lifelike ice sculpture. The sheer terror and despair etched on his face were frozen there forever. I let out a long stretch and walked over to the console. System, initiate external cleanup mode. A faint blue light flickered across the snow, and those bodies, along with 3 snowmobiles, scattered machetes, and hammers, vanished into thin air. Deconstruction and synthesis complete. Yielded 20 liters of high-grade biodiesel, 50 kilograms of refined steel, and 10 kilograms of organic fertilizer. I nodded, completely satisfied. These thugs might have been pure scum while alive, but in death, at least they chipped in some basic fuel and fertilizer for my safe house. Guess they finally made themselves useful. Meanwhile, over in that downtown high-rise apartment, Ji Bochong was strung up from the ceiling of a storage room, barely clinging to life, after long left with his crew. The goons left behind to guard him hadn't just been sitting around. They figured out that even though Ji Bochang's cloning system drained his life force, as long as they didn't let him kick the bucket, they could just keep squeezing him for goods. One of the thugs grabbed a bucket of freezing ice water and splashed it right in his face. Ji Bochong jolted awake from his blackout, screaming in agony, his whole body convulsing violently. "Wake up, you piece of trash. Hurry up and print me a bottle of booze. Do it now. I really can't take it anymore. Please, just give me a bite to eat. I'm starving." "Eat my ass." The thug slapped Ji Bochong hard across the face. "Boss Long isn't back yet. You really think you're getting fed? Get back to work." Ji Bochong closed his eyes in utter despair. He knew he was nothing more than a mindless vending machine to these monsters now. He really, truly regretted it. If only he hadn't stolen this cursed cloning system. If he hadn't pushed me into the river, maybe he'd be sitting next to me by a cozy fireplace right now, eating a steaming hot pot. But too bad for him, there are no do-overs in this world. Day 30 of the deep freeze apocalypse. The outside world had gone completely dead. With Long and his gang out of the picture, my life fell into a perfectly comfortable routine. Every day, aside from working out and tending to my basement garden, I'd just use the deconstruction system to clear out the snow buildup outside and break down any random debris. My stash of supplies wasn't just holding steady, it was actually growing. Meanwhile, over at that downtown apartment block, order had completely shattered. Long never came back, his surviving goons, fighting over scraps of food, and their human vending machine, Ji Bochong, tore each other apart in a bloody gang war. In the end, a ruthless psycho they called Baldy slaughtered everyone else and crowned himself the new boss. Baldy was even more of a savage than Long ever was. He couldn't care less if Ji Bochong lived or died. He just forced him to print massive amounts of food and booze every single day, keeping himself and his inner circle living in pure luxury. As for Lu Rian, she was kept by the bald guy like a piece of property. To stay alive, she threw away her dignity, begging for mercy like a desperate dog. She even helped the bald guy torture Ji Bochong. "Ji Bochong, stop playing dead." On the security feed, Lu Rian grabbed a bucket of filthy snow water and viciously splashed it on Ji Bochong. He was tied to an iron bed. He struggled to open his eyes. "Rian, why are you doing this to me? Cut the crap. If you don't work, how is Boss Baldy going to feed me? Didn't you say you love me? Didn't you say you'd do anything for me? Then hurry up and duplicate things. Don't make me whip you again." Ji Bochong closed his eyes in absolute despair. He finally saw this woman's true colors. Using his very last ounce of strength, he activated his duplication system. A faint light flashed, and a roast chicken appeared on the iron bed. Meanwhile, Ji Bochang's body violently convulsed, and he completely passed out. Lu Rian excitedly grabbed the roast chicken, running over to the bald guy like a dog begging for treats. The bald guy snatched the chicken, tore off a drumstick, and shoved it into his mouth. This piece of trash is getting more useless by the day. He passes out just from making one chicken? Go grab a basin of ice water and wake his ass up. I want a bottle of liquor today. Without a second thought, Lu Rian picked up a basin of bone-chilling ice water and splashed it on Ji Bochong again. But despite the freezing shock, Ji Bochong did not wake up. His chest had completely stopped moving. Trembling, Lu Rian checked his breathing, then fell hard onto the floor in pure terror. "Boss, Boss Baldi, I think he's gone. This trash is dead? What the hell am I supposed to eat now? He glared viciously at Lu Rian, a flash of pure brutality in his eyes. Well, since he's gone, you're completely useless to me now. Ah, Lu Rian screamed in sheer terror. She crawled frantically toward the door. No, please, Boss Baldi, no, I'm still useful. I know Ji Linchuan's address. He has an endless supply of food and resources. I can take you to him. The bald guy grabbed Lu Rian and dragged her right back. Ah. Brother long lost his life going after Ji Linchuan. Do you think I'm a complete idiot? I'm not going to that cursed place just to get myself killed. Right after that, Lu Rian's agonizing screams echoed through the apartment. I sat in front of the monitors, watching it all with cold indifference. Ji Bochong had met his end. Lu Rian was gone too. The two main culprits who ruined my past life had finally gotten what they deserved, after suffering 100 times worse than I did. I didn't feel any thrill or joy, just the quiet peace of a completed revenge. This apocalypse really is a man-eating hellscape. Day 100 of the extreme cold apocalypse. The temperature outside is still stuck at -70 degrees. The entire city has been completely sealed under thick ice and snow. I have no idea how long this extreme blizzard will last. Maybe 1 year, maybe 10 years. But none of that matters to me anymore. Down in my basement, the vegetables are growing lush and green, and the hot spring water is steaming hot. Every single day, the decomposition system steadily turns the ice, snow, and trash outside, converted into fuel and food. I even went down to the basement and set up a mini home theater. Every day, I'd switch things up, watching movies and playing video games. Life was 100 times cozier than before the apocalypse. Occasionally, I'd stroll over to the monitors to take a look at the frozen world outside. That apartment building downtown was already more than half buried under the heavy snow. Baldi and his gang couldn't escape their fate of starving and freezing. In this whole city, besides me, there probably wasn't a single soul left. But I didn't feel lonely at all. I picked up a glass of freshly synthesized red wine and walked over to the fireplace. Watching the dancing flames, I raised my glass. Here's to this godforsaken apocalypse, I whispered, downing the wine in one gulp. Right at that moment, the basement alarm suddenly went off. I froze for a second, then immediately rushed over to the security console. This was the highest level alarm I had set. It would only trigger when an extremely intense heat source was detected approaching. I pulled up the external camera feeds and zoomed in all the way. About 10 kilometers away from the villa, a massive black shadow appeared. It was an icebreaker. Painted on the side of the giant ship was a striking red cross. It was the rescue team from my past life. I watched the ship push its way through the howling blizzard. The searchlight on its bow cast a massive beam of light across the frozen wasteland. The beam swept over the frozen city, as if searching for a miracle of life. I stood there in front of the screen, my hand resting on the radio button. All I had to do was press this button and send out a distress signal, and they would find me. I could leave this basement and return to so-called human society, but I hesitated. In the post-apocalyptic world, human nature was often far more terrifying than the extreme cold. I watched as the giant ship stayed docked there for a while. The searchlight did 2 more sweeps, before slowly turning around, heading toward another pile of ruins. The beam of light gradually faded into the blizzard. I took my hand off the button, a relieved smile creeping onto my face. Goodbye. I turned off the monitors and turned back toward the plush sofa. The fire in the hearth was roaring. I felt so incredibly warm and cozy. I closed my eyes, soaking in this profound peace and absolute bliss that belonged only to me. No matter what happened to the world outside, my world would forever be spring.
Follow, like, comment, and share for more story.